Well, thank you very much for all of you being here tonight. I'm very happy to be here today also because I'm usually here Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays, but not the other days of the week. And I know that Tuesdays are a very busy day here. The reason I decided to talk about this subject, laying on of hands, is because we have a lot of people that come here to the center, and especially the non-Brazilians, that they don't know what it is. They have no idea. And they don't know if it's the same or if it's different from Reiki. So I observe sometimes they come for the first time. We invited them to go to the second phase of the meeting, and they all like, no, 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 thank you, thank you. And one time I asked, why you don't like to try? It's very good, very positive. Oh, no, I don't know, I don't understand what it is, and I see these people doing this, and I'm like, nah. So I'm like, I think we should create some kind of lecture to explain in detail what is this, and make the people to understand that's actually very, very positive. So that's why I did it in a very basic way. This is not for creating new past givers, okay? It's just to understand what it is, why it is good, and how we usually do it. So, you know, I think it's better if we turn off the light. So here are these friends. Maybe you guys, when you went the first time ever in a Spiritist center. So what is it? What is a healing pass or laying on of hands, the way you would rather to call it? So I got from this book from the Spiritist Salvador Gentil in Portuguese. It is the donation of magnetic fluids from a healing medium and or to a receiver in order to help with their lack of physical and or mental energy. So when you read something like that, a person that never heard of passes, healing passes, he immediately reads healing medium. So the first thing you have to know is, what is a healing medium? So this is what happens in most of the Spiritist centers. And here is the basic of what is a healing medium. So in Spiritism, it is a dedicated practitioner who is constantly studying and working to their betterment, who have prepared well for this labor of love. So it's not something out of this world. We all could be past givers if we wanted. But it's not also something that you just arrive in a Spiritist center, oh, tomorrow oh, please, I would like to be a past giver. It's not like that. Needs time, needs the center to know you. You need to study a lot, and you also need a lot of inner transformation, dedication. You need so many things, but we are going to talk about it. So I decided to do a little research in history just to give like this base to everybody. So passes is not something that Spiritism invented. It's something very, very old. And you can see here, it was already in India, the Brahmins, they used to cure by the power look. So you think the eyes, yes, the eyes could cure, but they also used to draw eyes on their hands, and they used to do like this to the people. And this was their way of giving the energy. So we know about our dear Master Jesus, but we know also that in Egypt, there was a temple called IESS, to the goddess of IESS, and there were special people that studied deeply about the healing passes, and they used to do also the treatments with the impositions of their hands. We know that Jesus cured physically and spiritually sick people. We can read through the New Testament. We see many, many passages. And later on, we saw the apostles also were able to perform miracles. I said miracles here because in that time they were miracles. Nowadays, we know it's all manipulation of energy, and there are a lot of scientific proof that the energy can be really changed depending on who is giving, who is receiving, and how are those two connected. We will see this later on. And also the last one I put was the humble healers. Humble healers everywhere. For example, in Brazil, my parents, they live in a very tiny city, and in this tiny city, they have a lot of healers. They are called benzedeiras, are very simple people, usually women, that they go to the house of people when the kid is sick, when somebody is sick, and these people sometimes they are poor, they cannot afford a doctor, or sometimes they believe more in the benzedeira than they believe in the doctor. But what these humble healers they have? What they usually have the most is love. They really have this love to help. They like to help. They get very happy when somebody said, "Oh, thank you so much. My son doesn't have fever anymore." And it's funny to say, but they also use this to the plantation. When the plantation is having some kind of problem with, not pesticides, with pests, I think I would say. Yeah, so instead of putting pesticides in the plants, they invite the healers, and the healers go there and they do all kinds of things, and usually it works. So to start talking about passes is very, very important. We talk about this man. So he was the first person to deeply research about magnetism. So his name is Mesmer. But because he was very popular with this, they end up calling mesmerism. So who was Mesmer? His name was Franz Anton Mesmer. And he was born in 1974 and died in 1815. But his technique got really, really famous in 1780. So he was a German physician that studied the fluids and how to transmit it. A lot of people say, no, he was Austrian. No, he was born in Germany, and then he moved to Austria to study, and then he got married, and then he lived there. But he was actually German. So these are some of his theories. He had many theories. His first theory actually in medical school was about astrology and the human body. So I read it and it was very interesting because he believed that the planets could change our moods. He believed the moon, the sun could change how we were feeling. So he started his first paper in medical school to graduate. How do you call it to graduate? The thesis. His thesis was astrology and the human body. And then he started to study animal magnetism. He also passed through the studying of the stones, the magnets. He studied a lot about the magnets and the human body. And when he was studying the magnets, he actually thought that he should give a medication that was done with some kind of a little percentage of magnet to people. And after a few minutes, he was going to put the stones around the body of the people. And he believed that the stones could actually attract the liquid. And then it said that a lot of people mentioned that they really felt this electrical currency inside their bodies. And then he went to hypnotism, and in the end, he really started the mesmerism. So here is when he was super famous. This was when I mentioned in 1780. So a lot of things happened before that. So let's go back a little bit. So when he was living in Austria, he started with these techniques there, and the court didn't like it. They thought this was very strange and not medical, so they sent a lot of doctors to investigate him to prove if it's good or not. Of course, they couldn't prove, so the government of Austria basically said, if you stay, you abandon. If you want to continue, you have to leave. So he left. He went to France. But at this time, he was already married to a rich widow. So this rich widow gave him access to the high court. So when he went to France, he had access to Marie Antoinette. So that's how he started getting very, very, very popular. One other thing that I found that was very curious is that when he was still in Austria, he met Mozart. And in that time, Mozart had written 500 pages, oh, my friend, he can help me, of an opera called Bétien and Bettine. And it was not allowed to be played in Austria. And then they said that he actually invited Mozart to play in his gigantic estate. So they became friends. Mozart was just 12 years old. So when he went to Paris, he got very famous because he treated one of the women that used to be friends with Marie Antoinette, and then she invited him to go to court. And at this time, he was so famous that he couldn't practice one by one anymore. He had to practice 20 people at a time. So he created this technique. This is like a swimming pool. And every people had to sit around the swimming pool. He put some kind of metal that is sticked out from the water, and the person had to hold this metal. And had magnets, and he used to give passes to the water. But people thought he gave some kind of electricity because everybody started feeling shocks. So I was like, wow, this is so exciting. This is really, really interesting. And what happened is that Marie Antoinette got addicted to passes. She couldn't stop having passes. Every single problem she had, she used to call him. And then what happened? The king started getting really upset about that. So the king, Louis XVI, decided, no, I don't want that. So the king created a commission with 7 very, very famous physicians that had to investigate him. One of them was the guillotine, and that's funny because, he created the guillotine. And the other one was our American. He was the ambassador in France in the time. Oh my God, his name. Benjamin. How can I forget? Thank you so much. Benjamin Franklin was right there. But Benjamin Franklin was already adept of spiritualism. He was already very in tune with that. So he knew about this theory, and he was positive about that. While a lot of other people, they were like, no. Anyways, a very, very long story. He ended up, he didn't get out. They didn't take him out of France, but they really sent him to a little tiny city, and he couldn't perform anymore. So we don't have much news about him after that. But to talk about this, we really have to talk a lot in the Spirit's book and Kardec. Many, many questions in the Spirit's book talk about healing passes, energy. So we need to start with the universal cosmic fluid. So in the questions 27 and 29, we see that this was the name given by the spirits to imponderable fluid, which serves as an intermediary between spirit and matter. It allows attachment of a dense matter, and it has innumerable combinations, and it is the beginning of heavy matter. Well, it can be a little bit difficult to understand, but the basic that I want to give it to you is that the universal cosmic fluid is the fluid the spirits utilize to be able to transfer the healing energy to all of us. So it's not that they do miracles, they really utilize from energy. And this energy is called the universal cosmic fluid. And then you can see many other questions that also Kardec asked about matter. He asked specific questions about mesmer, and 483 about magnetism, and 555 about the sorcerer. So the sorcerer, this one, it's for me it's funny because nowadays sorcerer is more like a magician or like a witch. But in that time, it was what it was called the medium. So they called the sorcerer. And in this 555 specifically, Kardec asks if a person, basically is, if a person has the body sick, depleted from something that they don't know what it is, if it would be possible for a sorcerer or a medium to give some kind of energy and modify it. And then the spirits answer, yes, definitely it is possible, because it will change the energy and it will change the cells. You should take the numbers and then you can go through every single one. Very, very interesting. And then here, this should be basic to all of us, but not to everybody. So why? Why should we receive passes? Well, because it helps our physical and spiritual bodies. Because it's good. To receive passes is good. If something is not going to make any bad, any harm, it's always positive. Especially in a Spiritist center where the environment is protected. So this was interesting too. So these are the Kirlian pictures. You can Google and you will see all kinds of pictures. But I decided to take a draw of a body. But there are pictures of real people that you can see the energy before and after. So this is just so you have an idea. So this is the person before receiving a healing pass. So you can see there are gaps. There are places that are very low and other places are high. So basically it's like it's not a continuity of energy. And here is after. It's like the energy is all filled up. The person is like 100%. So this was very interesting. And now we're going to talk about a little bit of Master Jesus. And there are so many cases that you can read in the New Testament. But I picked up this one in particular because it's very interesting. And, you know, it's my favorite, you will see why. So, Jesus heals a crippled woman on the Sabbath. Look. Anybody would like to read?
I can read. While Jesus was teaching, he healed a crippled woman, saying, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." Then he put his hand over her head, and immediately she straightened up and praised God. Indignant, and the synagogue leader said, "There are 6 weeks for work, but
6 days.
6 days for work, but not one, the Sabbath." Jesus answered, "You hypocrites, doesn't each of you on the Sabbath untie your ox or donkey, then lead it out to give it water? Then should not this woman whom evil had kept bound for 18 years be set free on the Sabbath day?" Then all his opponents were humiliated, but the people were delighted.
That she was connected with an obsessor for all those years. And she had this problem that made her to be like that. And when Jesus healed her and she was good and she straightened up again, what was his title? The synagogue leader. So he came and said, no. Today is not day for you to cure anybody here. You can cure tomorrow. So Jesus is like, what? How is that possible? You are a hypocrite. Because even today, I'm sure you take your animals and you give food, and you take your animals, you give water, you give shelter, but I cannot give health to this woman? So they didn't know what to answer. So they got silence. So this is one of the stories that shows that the healing passive was performed by Jesus. And here is Paul of Tarsus. Paul was really amazing, and he spent a lot of time in Greece. So here is like he is ministering in Ephesus. So this took place for 2 years, so that all who lived in Asia heard the word of the Lord, both Jews and Greeks. God was performing extraordinary miracles by the hands of Paul, so that handkerchiefs or aprons were even carried from his body to the sick. And the diseases left them, and the evil spirits went out. So I went researching this because I had never heard of that. And this is very interesting. It was like he had like pieces of cloth, sometimes another vest. And the vest, when there were a lot of people or the person could not come close to him, the piece of cloth really kind of walked and went to the person, and the person touched and got cured. So this was very interesting, and you can see also that they were, in all the pictures, they are always with the hands imposing in the sick people. But how can we do that? As Jesus said, we could all, he said to the disciples, but we know that we can do the same. We can do everything Jesus did. Well, not everything, but we could do a lot. We could do our personal miracles. But what happened is that we don't have faith in ourselves. And of course, sometimes, most of the times, our behavior is not that good. If we want to do a miracle, you should be a miracle. You should be good all the time. Can we be good all the time? No, we can't. We can't be Jesus yet. But when we are able to pray, we can do miracles. Like when people pray, it's almost like you could see like this energy building up on the top of the head and going up. Because it's like our energy reaching to the higher realms. So the elevated spirit, they can come down and they connect. They connect with our energy. So they can listen to what we are asking. And we know that Jesus was the governor of the planet Earth, the most enlightened spirit, our model, who came to Earth. And he was always praying. He was always connecting with the Father. He was always connecting with God. So we should think about this too. What happened that we only think about prayer when we are in trouble. When we are in trouble, ooh, let me pray. But when everything is good, we never think about that. We should pray when everything is good too, to keep good or to give us strength when something goes wrong. And this I took from one of the books of André Luiz. It's a fervent prayer helps us to deeply connect with superior spirits, receive an energetic bath of strength, the cleansing of thoughts related to our daily struggles. So here you connect with the superior spirits. Here you receive that energy when you are so exhausted, you feel a little bit stronger. And here you end up forgetting about all the problems. We need to disconnect of the problems too. This helps us. This is a wonderful book. Everybody should read in the domain of the mediumship. We have here for sale. I think it's $15. So, how does it work? You know, a lot of people come to the center, they see the past givers, they do this, and they do this, and you have no idea. I like this picture because the top part, it's enlightened. And in all the books, and Divaldo Franco, and any book you're going to read about healing passes, laying on of hands, and even Reiki, the coronary chakra on top of our head is the chakra or the energy center that connect with the superior spirits. So this is the most important energy center of our body. So that's why we always start from the top of the head of the people, and then we go down. So this is a very beautiful picture. So, as I said in the beginning, all required is love. Love, but the pure love. Because we don't have pure love, we need a lot of other things. But these are some very interesting messages. So, the healers I mentioned before are invariably generous and loving people who sincerely care for their patients. So this should be the attitude of a healing pass giver in a Spiritist center, to be sincerely there. You don't know the person, you don't know if the person has a problem or not, but you should do this work with love, because this is what's going to help you to connect with the enlightened spirits and help to donate the good vibrations, good energy to the receiver. So there are extraordinary mediumships, but few extraordinary mediums. This is excellent because mediumship you can have in any religion, in any class, in any color, in any person. A lot of these people who play tarot cards, they are mediums. They have mediumships, but are they extraordinary mediums? No, extraordinary mediums are like Chico Xavier, the Brazilian medium, who was always so humble, loving, who did so much to everybody. So this is the difference. And the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Buddha. This is also very true, because your mind is yourself. If you're here, I'm talking about the Spiritist Center because this lecture is for past givers in the Spiritist Center. If you're a past giver and your head is thinking all kinds of crazy things that are not from the center, that are like about your job, you had a fight with your wife, your neighbor allowed the dog to pee in your door, so you are disconnecting. You are giving a lot of trouble to the spirits to be able to redo your energy, to bring this balance, to help the receiver. So we have to think positive. And this is a video that's powerful, because this video here, this doctor, Masaru Emoto, got very famous about experience that he did with water. So he did a lot of experience with water, and he sent love to a glass of water and hate to another glass of water, and then he crystallized, he froze and then cut in layers and took pictures. So I found this was a different experiment and was also very, very interesting. So let me see if the sound is working. Okay, let me just take the video from the, okay. Uh-oh, the sound is not working. Oh, how do I stop this video? Stop video! Okay, I think it's here. Maybe here? Yeah. Can you put louder?
He placed rice into 3 glass beakers and covered it with water. And then every day for a month, he said, "Thank you" to one beaker. "You're an idiot" to the second. And the third one, he completely ignored. rice that had been thanked began to ferment, giving off a strong, pleasant aroma. The rice in the second beaker turned black. And the rice that was ignored began to rot. Dr. Emoto thinks that this experiment provides an important lesson, especially with regard to how we treat children. We should take care of them, give them attention, and converse with them. Indifference does the greatest harm.
Dreamy story, but almost. But
So that was very, very interesting because I never imagined that. I thought the love would be beautiful, the hate would be disgusting, and the abandon would be like kind of okay. But no, he actually mentioned that because it was abandoned, that was because it got so rotten. So when you really start rationalizing it, it's easy to understand. When you give love to somebody, that person instinctively gives love back to you. When you give hate to somebody, that person, even if that person don't understand why you're doing that, instinctively will give hate to you. Or will be the initial instinct, and because he's a spiritist from Inner Enlightenment, he'll be, no, that's not the good behavior, let me change and give love. But that's not all the time, okay? And then the other one, so why the other one was the abandoned one was the one who got rotten? Because you need something. When you give something, you receive something. So the abandoned one is the one that goes crazy. Why one receives something, the other receives something, and I didn't receive anything. So he correlated with children, and he also has a lecture on abandoned children. Abandoned in the sense the parents ignore. So the parents have always the loved one, have all the trouble one, and have the one that maybe doesn't even care much. So that one internalizes the pain and suffers a lot. So this study was really like, wow, was an awakening. And it's super interesting. If you Google, there are more than thousands of people who did this rice experiment. Even my son is doing it. So it's very easy and it's very visual. We should do to see how interesting. And here's something that I was mentioning before. So here there are, 3 different types of healing passes. These are the magnetic passes. The person is the magnetic medium that we can say. He is the magnetizer. So, for example, me, I have this energy that I can donate intensely. It's not from the spirits, it's from my physical body. Here is the spiritual path. So this is the case that we were talking about before, like this medium that was thinking about the fight with his wife, the neighbor, this and that. And when he went there to perform, he was in such a trouble that the spirits had to block his energy to not transfer anything negative and transfer directly to the patient. Here also there are many intangibles because the patient needs to have merit. So in this case, the patient had merit and he received the treatment in the same way. But these are the passes that we give in the Spiritist centers because it's more powerful. Who wants to receive just from a person? It's very good if you can receive from the spirit, but you don't know if you can do this all the time. So this is the mixed ones that we do in the center. The elevated spirits give the energy to the past giver, and then he transfers the mix, the combined fluids to the receiver. So this is interesting. I like to say receiver because it's not everybody that sits there is sick. So it's not the patient, but it's the receiver. So this is the path that we are usually offering in Spiritist centers. And here, just going back here. So because of this, that's why in Inner Enlightenment, we say that the pass givers, they do not need to give passes and sit down and receive a pass. Because if you give 3 passes, you receive 3 passes. So there is no need to, after giving passes, sitting down and receive again. Because when you are giving, you are being replenished. And much better, because before go here, goes through you. So this is why the pass givers here don't need to receive. But you have to understand that every house is different. Everyone has a different traditions, and each place should do what it's better for them. Here also, we don't have a medium that goes there and magnetize the water, because we know the spirits do this job. So we just place the water there, and at the same time they are giving energy to us, they are magnetizing the water. So we don't need to send a person there just to do this. There is no need. And here, so this, what do you guys think is this picture? My goodness, you're the first people that don't talk. Chun, 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 chun. Well, yeah, this is a group of people sitting around the table, and they're studying. So it could be many things. But, so let's talk about therapies that involve passing or laying on of hands in a center. So the mixed passing, that's the one I mentioned here. What is it? The mixed passing, but we usually you say the common passing, the pass that we offer here every Tuesday, every Sunday, and Thursday. So this is a pass that's public. Everybody, when we finish, can go there and receive. It's public. Most of the Spiritist centers offer the spiritual treatment. It is a treatment for people who are sick, mentally or physically or spiritually, and they come here in a separate day, and then they receive this spiritual treatment. They have to study a little bit, and they have to follow certain rules to be able to receive it. We have the irradiation, so you could take this picture for an irradiation meeting. It's a group of mediums that sit together and they pray for people that cannot come to the center. People in other countries, people that are sick in their houses, people that are sick in hospitals. So this is what we call irradiation. And we pray also for discarnated, people that are already passed. And we could also say fraternal counseling, because when the people come to the private meeting, the fraternal counseling, depending on what issue they are suffering, by the end we also give a passing. And these are some extra therapies that you could do at home, and we encourage you doing. For example, who does the God at home here? Just half. Wow. Just half. Everybody should do the God at home. This is our protection. It's also called the gospel at home. It's our protection. We pray once a week for a little bit of time, and then we invite the enlightened spirits to come to help us and to guide us. It's really great. And when we are praying, we are connected with the enlightened spirits, and we are receiving our pass. The meditation is also really good. Meditation is like we are listening to God. I think somebody told me once that the prayer is when you are talking to God, and meditation is when you are listening the answer. So I thought this was awesome. And the guided visualization, this one I like the most, because meditation for me is really difficult to be in dead silence, very tense. But guided visualization is really nice. Divaldo Franco with that beautiful voice. And now we have two friends, TJ and Tiago, who actually did a CD about guided visualization. And when we finish the lecture, we will have a few minutes for questions and answers if anybody would like to ask. And then we will have a sample of a guided visualization. And also charitable work. So charitable work is our daily bread. If we could do it every day, it would be fantastic. Don't think that charitable work is only when you're giving money or something to anybody. Charitable work is also when you see that neighbor that you can't stand and you're like, good morning. But sincerely. It's not like, good morning, I can't stand this guy. But it's good morning and like, God, please help me to send good vibrations to this person because maybe I will change and him too. And here is stuff for the practitioners. So here's an example. In the Spiritist centers, most of the time we give passes by the front, but you can give passes by the back. You can give passes by the side. As I mentioned, this is more for us. We like to visualize the person. But you can do also by the back, there is no problem. The real job is from the spirits. So what are the requirements? I placed only 10, but I can write 30. So it is tough. It is tough. And the most important is love. Love, as I mentioned, everything. But in a Spiritist center, knowledge. Knowledge is very important. You have to know what you're doing. Divaldo Franco even mentioned that we should know the physical body of the person so we could know exactly where is each organ. So when the person says, oh, I'm feeling something in my liver, you have an idea, the liver is here? No, where is the liver? So let me focus more where is the liver. It would help us. So knowledge, even the physical body. Imagine in Spiritism. Faith, because if you don't have faith in what you are doing, stop being a past giver and start studying a little bit more, and later on you can try to come back. Assiduity and punctuality. We read in every single book that the spirits are extremely punctual. If you tell them you're going to do the gospel on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock, at 9:59 they are there. And then you're like watching TV, and 10:50, ooh! Sometimes they don't wait for you. They left because you were not connected when they arrived. They are very busy. They have many, many people to help. Punctuality in the center. You are a practitioner in a center. This is one of the requirements to be invited to be a past giver. If I notice that you come to the center, it starts at 7, you always arrive 7:15, that's already a red flag. If you want to be a practitioner, but you miss a lot, summertime is coming, everybody goes to the beach, they never come, that's a problem. So, desire to help others, the charitable work. The charitable work, when you are here and it's not your day to work as a past giver, but we invite you and you are happy to be able to help. And the work on our betterment. We are not perfect. And in some centers in Brazil, people they give passes and they smoke. When I heard that, I was like, that's insane. How this person can be a past giver? And the director said, well, he is trying strongly to quit. And we have followed, and he's really almost close to quit. And I was like, wow, that's different. But he's demonstrating that he's changing. Watch what you eat and what you drink. So this we always mention also. It's not that we want everybody to become vegetarians. No way. Everybody has the right to eat whatever you want. But the ones who are going to give the pass, the day, we actually say 24 hours before, you should really try to avoid red meat. To the past givers and to the receivers. The past givers, because you have to have your body in an easier way to connect with the elevated spirits. And the receivers, because, you ate a lot of huge T-bone, and you came to the center. So first of all, you're already feeling super heavy, tired, sleepy, and your physical body is breaking that food. So it's not that your body is relaxed, your body is working hard to break the food. So we say, please, at least 24 hours before, try not to eat it. And drink, you had a beer and you come to do a spiritual treatment. What are you demonstrating? Or you had a beer and you came to give a passy. We are not police. We are not going to be investigating the life of anybody, smelling, even if sometimes I'm like a police. Yeah. But that's your conscience. That's a work that you have to do with yourself. We know that if you are not good, the spirits will isolate you and they will do the work anyway. Watch our thoughts and behavior. I already mentioned that. No vices or quitting, I mentioned before. And patience and tolerance. A lot of times you come to the center or many other places and a lot of people say, you know, there is a person that I can't stand in the center, so I think I'm quitting, I'm going to another one. I'm saying, okay, this already happened to a person that I know. Quit one center that I used to go and went to another one, and then another year went to another one. The end of the year there was another one. After 4 years, 4 centers, she abandoned Spiritism totally. If something like this happened, it's not the center or the people in the center who have problem. It's you. You have the problem. You have to change, because any place you go, you will face a difficult person. And in the center is the best place to learn how to be patient and tolerant. So I just said here, a good past giver is fully aware of its important task. They know the center needs them, but they need it even more. So this is important for us, because sometimes people, I have to go there because today, the day that I have to work, I'm so tired, I can't believe this. I work so hard. Yeah, do you work so hard? But what the spirits have done for you to help you because you are in a spiritist center. Imagine if you were not in a spiritist center, what probably had happened to you. So a lot of people don't really give the value because you don't see, you think things are coincidence, and we always say there are no coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence. So we already mentioned about the requirements for the past giver, but there are requirements to the receivers. And faith is the most important one. If you come here because of your friend, of your mom said, go there, receive a pass, a laying on of hands, is really good, it's going to help you. And the person sits like, I can't stand to be here. Why did I come? Why my mother obligate me? Well, it's already would be better for you not to even come. Because when you do that, you create the cement wall between you and the past giver and the spirit. Don't think it's just vertical, it's like everywhere. So even if the past giver wants to give you pass and the spirits wants to give you pass, you will not receive any good energy. So with God, all things are possible. We have to think that. So whenever we invite a friend to come and to receive some kind of treatment, mention that. If you're going there, you have to have faith. Try to exercise your faith. Another thing that I mentioned before is merit. So merit is really this little scale that differentiates between debts, the debits, and the effort to better ourselves. So if we have one too high and the other could be a problem. If you have a lot of debits and you have very little effort, then you are not doing good. Then you don't have real merit. And André Luiz mentioned in one of his books that, of course, I don't remember the name. Maybe Adilson will help me. The case of 10 times. So this was this person who went to the Spiritist Center for the 10th time to receive treatment. And actually it was to the 11th time. And then when André Luiz was saying, we have to help him, and then I believe it was Aulus. He said, no. He's a case of 10th time. And then André Luiz, that probably will be me in the future because he wants to ask thousands of questions. He said, whoa, what is that? What is a case of 10th time? Case of 10th time is because this man came here 10 times, and 10 times we gave him the energy healing, and we helped him with his problem. Now, as soon as he finishes, as soon as he gets better, he gets strong, he goes back to the same bad behavior. So now we will allow him to get very sick to really give value to what he's missing, because we need to work on our betterment. Another important thing is willpower. This I took from a doctor that was like, he studied more than 100 kids, and he put one candy and he put an apple. And he said, don't eat any of this until I come back. And when I come back, if you did not eat, I will give you double. I have to tell you that from this 100 kids, only 3 kids were able to sustain an unbelievable amount of time because they did in purpose. If the kid, the videos are hilarious. You should do willpower in children. You will see the video. The kids start and they look and they smell and they touch and they and then 97 they bite. And as soon as they bite, the doctor, So it's tough to have willpower, but many times an active willpower can reestablish a good health. And it's true. When you have this strength, when you have this, I will do it. I will change. Yes, we can. My favorite sentence. This will really change. Like when you get sick and the doctor says, oh, I'm so sorry, this is terrible, you're going to die. There are so many cases of people who said, oh, really? No way. And I have a funny case. It's not the one I usually say. My friend was a horrible forró dancer. I don't know how to say forró in English. It's a special dance. You dance in shoes. He was a horrible, horrible dancer. And then after months and months and months, the teacher told him, listen, if I were you, I wouldn't pay me again. Because for you, there is no cure. There is no betterment. Never, ever. So he went home and he was so upset that the teacher said, don't come back, don't need to pay me. He was like, I will learn. So he bought videos and daily he watched the video and he watched himself in the mirror. And nowadays he's one of the best friends that can dance forró like a professional. So this was his strong willpower when touched there. So this is a very famous doctor from Connecticut, Dr. Bernie Siegel. Then he's a specialist in cancer treatments. And many years ago, so until what time you want me to talk? I can be here forever. Oh, okay. So many years ago, Divaldo Franco, he had a dream, but not the dream he fantasized it. He really would like to meet him. And because he was very famous and he did amazing cures, because he offered alternative treatments with different techniques, with drawings, with meditation. So Divaldo's dream was to meet him. And a few years ago in Connecticut, Divaldo was able to really meet him, and they gave a seminar together, and I was there. I think, were you there, Jenny? It was I don't know, 10 years ago, my goodness, long time ago. So Divaldo was there and Bernie Siegel too. So Divaldo has a lecture that he says how he met him. He was super nervous because Divaldo thought he was close to God. And him oh my God, I'm a nobody. So he found out that he wanted actually to meet him the day before. And Divaldo said he was so nervous that he was dragged to this man's house. And he arrived there. It was a very, very big house in Connecticut. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so simple. I'm not going to know how to eat, how to talk, how to do. I don't speak English. And he said that he was so humble. He was so, so nice that he actually brought him to an area that he went in. He mentions some kind of living room. He was showing plants and things, and had no chairs. And they were both standing for quite some time. And Divaldo's like, oh my God, how are we going to do? And then he said, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I don't have chairs here. We almost never receive visitors. And then he grabbed some kind of thing like that, a basket, and put Divaldo to sit. And he sat in another thing. And Divaldo was like, wow. So it's very interesting. And Dr. Bernie is the one that always says that the willpower and the real desire, the strong faith connected, are the ones who cured his patients. He didn't even cure them because they were all terminal. They were all terminal patients. Their bodies were already dying, but he gave them ideas, and some of them were able to embrace, and they did it. So here's what we were saying. So the results depends on us. So here is the good results, that the receiver is receiving 100% of the energy. And here is that person that I mentioned that doesn't believe or doesn't have merit or even has some problem against the past giver. We shouldn't think about that because who is transmitting is really the spirits. The past giver is just a machine that's transmitting it. And nothing is gonna, when I say nothing is gonna happen, is because we're in a spiritist center. We are in a place that is protected. If you guys know somebody that goes to Reiki, where you pay $1,000 to receive a treatment, there you don't have this kind of protection. If that past giver, that Reiki giver, I don't know how they call, if they are not really a person working on their betterment and a person that doing that with love, you don't have this protection from the spirits. So as we said before, you are what you think. If this person is thinking just about money, negative things, what is going to be passing to you? So in a spiritist center, you don't have this problem. The spirits protect us. So here's the picture of the most important of our chakras. There are many, many, many chakras, but these are the main ones. So you can call chakra, but usually in Spiritism we say centers of forces. So the top of the head, as I mentioned, is the coronary or the crown that connects us with the higher elevated spirits. The frontal one that we always say the third eye, that's in the middle of our forehead, is that gives you the intuition that the mediums have this very developed when you can see things that nobody else can see. And also we can imagine things that sometimes happen. The laryngeal one is the communication. People who have this easier way to be able to be talking. The cardiac that connects with love. You're very emotional. The splenic is the one that many times you have to receive past there because are people that love to have power, so they are working too much on that, and that could be a problem. So help this person to calm down. The gastric is the one connected with sexuality. We all need a lot of passes there, dispersive passes, a lot of activity maybe is not very good. And the genesic one, the survival, we all have this, but we only feel that when we are in a danger way. That's what they say also, the adrenaline, like things that are impossible happen. For example, there's a story when the tsunami happened. This mother with 3 little kids, she was swamped, and suddenly all her kids fell in the water. And the last one was holding something he was not going to be able to hold for a long time. The others were already gone. She was like hanging in something. But when she saw her kid, she jumped in the water and she went swimming. And she got this unbelievable power that was able to go against the current, come back with her son, put him in a safe place, and then she died. But she had this amazing adrenaline of helping her loved one. And we can do that. We all can do that. We usually do when some kind of problem is happening. We run away to the other side. But when love is involved, you do things that you if somebody tell you, you would say never. And yes, you can do that. So here, where should we give a healing pass? I'm talking about a physical location. I'm not talking about a physical body. So where do you guys think? Now we are going to talk because I'm going to be just listening. A hospital?
Spiritist center.
So where should we give the passes? Hospital, Spiritist center?
Spiritist center.
Oh, very good students. We should always give in a Spiritist center. Okay? Now you're all thinking, what? This woman's crazy. Yeah? No. There are exceptions. Exceptions that we can give in nursing homes, in hospitals, in emergencies. But you have to understand that the exception is not the rule. It's not that somebody's sick home and, oh, Angela, please come here. I'm so sick. Can you come here to give me a passy? I'm like, okay, what do you have? Oh, I have this horrible headache. It's not helping me to walk. You know, what should you do? Well, it depends, of course. Each case is a case. But the ideal would be to go to the person's house and help the person to come to a Spiritist center. If it's an emergency, yes, you can do it. Like, let's suppose, oh, come here to give me a pass. Okay, so I went there, give a pass. Next week, oh, I'm feeling sick again, come here to give me a pass. Should I go back there again? No, this person is lazy, is getting the bad habit. And when you are not in a Spiritist center, you are not fully protected. When we go to the nursing homes and we give passes there, we are protected because we go as a work of an inner enlightenment. Even if one person is there, that person has a lot of spirits helping. It's not that, whoa, I'm decided to go. But you have to understand, these are exceptions. We have a friend that ended up in a hospital, is very sick. You are visiting. Can you give a pass? Yes, of course you can. The person cannot go to a Spiritist center, so you can do it. But the main place is always in a Spiritist center. So it is possible by means of timely help to renew the ties which were ready to break and to give back life to a person who for this help would have definitely ceased to live. This is the question 424, one of the questions that I placed before in the lecture. So the Spirit said yes. Yes, it is possible. I have many stories about this emergency tasks. But one that I will talk about my nephew. I was a few years ago in Brazil, in Rio. I'm from Rio. And it was around midnight, so it's already very dangerous to get out on the streets. When we found out my nephew that we thought was sleeping was burning in fever, really hot. He had like a 43, so it was like a very hot. And 43, I think it's 100 something. I don't know in Fahrenheit. So he was like in delirious already. He was like moving and like super sweat and freezing. He was melting down and he was like covering himself in all kinds of blankets. So my sister said, oh my God, we have to go to the hospital immediately. And I said, oh my God, to go to the hospital at this time with a child. We had no car. I'm like, okay, so let's do it. And then, by a miracle, I had the inspiration to give a healing pass just before we went there. This is funny because at that moment, I did not have faith that I could cure him. I gave the pass because I know it helps, but not that, oh, I'm going to do some kind of a miracle, just to help him to be able to feel better until we arrived to the hospital. So I asked my sister and my mom to pray, and I placed a little water, and we prayed together. And when I gave him the passes, and when we finished, I remember sitting him down and giving him a little water, and he laying down again, but he was really like, he was in another planet already. And then we went to change our clothes. So we went running to change our clothes when I heard my mother screaming, and when I went there, my nephew had vomit all over all over. So we're like, oh my God, of course. We took him shower. And when we start removing his clothes, he said, I'm feeling good. I was just like, my sister was the one like, oh, what did you do? So I was like, oh, what did you do? And I was like, that's fantastic. We don't need to go to the hospital at midnight. So this was my personal miracle that everybody can do it, everybody. So when we have faith, even when we don't have faith, because in that moment I did not have faith for miracle, but I had faith that he was able to survive until we reached to the hospital. The spirits really helped, and then he was good, and we did not need to go to the hospital. So I was going to show this video, but it's just that you can Google. It's Divaldo Franco giving passes like 50 years ago. So he's super, super young. It's really cute. And the end, so look how adorable. So to end the passes, we have to know that, as I mentioned it before, the first connection we need is the prayer. When we are talking to God, we are talking to the elevated spirits, helping this connection, because we are so low, helping to go a little bit so they can connect with us. The meditation, that's when we are able to forget about all our problems and to dedicate that few minutes to the elevated spirits, and probably will be listening their answers. And the guided visualization, that's the one I like the most, because you are able to follow this nice voice, close your eyes and imagine what the person is telling you, and you can exercise your breathing. I learned that the inhale and exhale is very important, and I did not believe, and now I do, and I'm like, wow, it really makes a difference. So you exercise that, and when you finish, oh, you are a new person. You are Angie 2016. So thank you very much, everybody.